The human heart is a tempestuous sea, and anger is its most violent storm. It rises without warning, consuming reason, drowning compassion, and leaving wreckage in its wake. We've all felt it, the heat in the chest, the tightening of fists, the words that spill out like fire, only to leave us ash-filled with regret. Anger is universal, yet it is also deeply personal. It is a force that can destroy relationships, careers, and even our own sense of peace. But what if I told you that anger is not an invincible foe? What if I told you that the ancient Stoics, those calm sages of old, had a map to navigate this storm? A map that doesn't just suppress anger, but transforms it into something meaningful, something even beautiful. This is the journey we're embarking on today. A journey to overcome anger the Stoic way. Let's begin with a truth that might sting a little. Anger is a choice. Yes, you heard me right. It's not the situation, not the person who cut you off in traffic, not the colleague who took credit for your work, not even the loved one who betrayed your trust. It's you. It's your judgment, your perception, your decision to let the storm take over. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, the idea that we cannot control external events, but we can always control our response to them. Anger, then, is not something that happens to us. It's something we do to ourselves. But let's not mistake Stoicism for cold indifference. The Stoics were not emotionless robots. They felt anger, just as we do. The difference is that they didn't let it control them. They saw anger for what it truly is, a temporary, irrational response that clouds judgment and leads to suffering. And they knew that to overcome anger, you must first understand it. So let's dive deep into the nature of anger, through the lens of Stoic wisdom. Imagine this. You're walking down the street, and someone bumps into you. Hard. They don't apologize. They just keep walking. What's your first reaction? For most of us, it's a surge of irritation, maybe even rage. How dare they? We think. Who do they think they are? But pause for a moment. Why does this bother you so much? Is it the physical discomfort? Unlikely. It's the story you're telling yourself about the event. They disrespected me. They think they can treat me like I don't matter. This story, this interpretation, is what fuels your anger. The Stoics called this process assent. We assent to certain judgments about events, and these judgments give rise to our emotions. Anger, then, is not caused by the event itself, but by our assent to the idea that the event is unjust, harmful, or offensive. But here's the thing. Our judgments are often wrong. The person who bumped into you might have been distracted, rushing to the hospital, or simply unaware. Even if they were rude, does their behavior truly diminish your worth? Does it change who you are? The Stoics would say no. Your value, your inner peace, your virtue. These things are untouchable. They cannot be harmed by external events, no matter how unjust or frustrating. When you realize this, anger begins to lose its grip. Now let's take this a step further. The Stoics believe that anger is not only unnecessary, but also counterproductive. It doesn't solve problems. It creates them. Think about the last time you were angry. Did it help the situation? Or did it make things worse? Chances are, it made things worse. Anger clouds our judgment, making us say and do things we later regret. It alienates us from others, creating conflict where there could be understanding. And it harms us, eating away our peace of mind, and even our health. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, called anger the most destructive of emotions. He wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." So, how do we restrain it? How do we overcome anger and replace it with something better? The Stoics offer us a toolkit, a set of practices and principles that can help us navigate the storm. Let's explore these tools one by one. The first tool is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This is the practice of anticipating challenges, setbacks, and even injustices before they happen. By imagining the worst-case scenarios, we prepare ourselves to face them with calm and resilience. For example, if you're going into a difficult meeting, take a moment to visualize things going wrong. Imagine people interrupting you, dismissing your ideas, or even attacking you personally. Then, imagine yourself responding with patience, clarity, and grace. This mental rehearsal takes the sting out of potential provocations. When you've already anticipated the worst, you're less likely to be caught off guard and more likely to respond with equanimity. The second tool is perspective taking. When you feel anger rising, step back and try to see the situation from the other person's point of view. Why might they have acted the way they did? What pressures, fears, or misunderstandings might be driving their behavior? This doesn't mean excusing harmful actions, but it does mean recognizing the humanity of the other person. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. When you see others as flawed, struggling humans rather than villains, your anger softens into compassion. The third tool is amor fati, or the love of fate. This is the Stoic practice of accepting, even embracing, whatever happens, good or bad. Instead of resisting reality, we align ourselves with it. We say, this is what has happened. It is neither good nor bad. It simply is, and I will make the best of it. When you adopt this mindset, anger has no room to grow. You stop fighting against what you cannot change and start focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. As Epictetus said, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. The fourth tool is memento mori, or the remembrance of death. This might sound morbid, but it's actually a powerful antidote to anger. When we remember that life is short and fragile, petty grievances lose their significance. That person who cut you off in traffic, they're not worth your peace of mind. That argument with a loved one, it's not worth holding on to. Memento mori reminds us to focus on what truly matters: love, kindness, and the present moment. As Seneca wrote, you act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. When we live with the awareness of our mortality, we stop sweating the small stuff and start living with gratitude and grace. The fifth tool is virtue ethics. The Stoics believe that the highest good is virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. When we align our actions with these virtues, we find inner peace and fulfillment. Anger, on the other hand, is a vice. It arises from a lack of wisdom, misjudging the situation, a lack of courage, failing to face challenges with resilience, a lack of justice, failing to see the humanity in others, and a lack of self-discipline, failing to control our impulses. By cultivating virtue, we starve anger of its roots. We become the kind of person who responds to provocation with calm, clarity, and compassion. Now, let's bring these tools together with a practical example. Imagine you're at work, and a colleague takes credit for a project you worked hard on. Your first instinct is to lash out, to confront them, to expose their dishonesty, to demand recognition. But instead you pause. You remember the Stoic tools. First, you practice premeditatio malorum. You've anticipated that not everyone will recognize your contributions, and you've prepared yourself to handle this with grace. Next, you practice perspective taking. Maybe your colleague is insecure, or maybe they genuinely believe they contributed more than they did. Either way, their actions don't define your worth. Then you practice amor fati. This is what has happened, and you will make the best of it. You focus on what you can control, your own work ethic, your integrity, and your response. You remember memento mori. In the grand scheme of things, this incident is small. It's not worth sacrificing your peace of mind. Finally, you align your actions with virtue. You choose wisdom, recognizing that anger won't solve the problem. Courage, standing up for yourself calmly and respectfully. Justice, treating your colleague with fairness. And self-discipline, controlling your impulses. The result: you handle the situation with dignity, and your anger dissipates. But let's be honest, this is easier said than done. Overcoming anger is a lifelong practice, not a one-time fix. There will be moments when the storm feels too strong, when the heat in your chest is too intense, when the words are already out of your mouth before you can stop them. And that's okay. The Stoics didn't expect perfection. They knew that we're all works in progress, stumbling and learning as we go. What matters is that we keep trying, keep practicing, keep striving to be better. And here's the beautiful part. When you overcome anger, you don't just avoid suffering. You create something positive. You become a source of calm in a chaotic world. You inspire others with your resilience and grace. You build deeper, more meaningful relationships. And you find a profound sense of inner peace, a peace that no external event can shake. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So, the next time you feel anger rising, remember the Stoic way. Pause, breathe, reflect. Choose your response with wisdom and courage. And know that every time you do this, you're not just overcoming anger. You're becoming the best version of yourself. You're living a life of virtue, a life of peace, a life of meaning. And isn't that what we all truly want? Anger is a storm, but you are the captain of your ship. With the Stoic tools in hand, you can navigate any tempest, no matter how fierce. You can turn the storm into a breeze, the chaos into calm, the pain into growth. This is the power of Stoicism. This is the power of you. So, set sail, my friend. The journey is yours to take.